Hi, I'm KS Garner, and you're listening to the Solo Nerd Podcast. Today, I'll be speaking with one of the creators and writers behind the comic series Worthy Chaos, Corissa Grant, here to promote the launch of issue 6. Welcome, Corissa.
Hi, thanks for having me. I really appreciate it.
Well, thank you for joining us here today. But outside my introduction, who is Corissa Grant in her own words?
I am a role player that got obsessed with a story and now turned it into a comic book.
What kind of role playing do you do? Do you do like Dungeons and Dragons role playing? Do you do like a LARP or?
So it's kind of like both of those put together, but it's all written. So I role played as Claire Redfield for 15 years, which means I pretty much go online and I write like a paragraph or something, and then somebody writes it back and you kind of go back and forth. And then with this one, it was a different character. I RP'd as Serafina, which is the main character. She's an angel descendant, supernatural hunter. And I role played her for 2 years with my co-writer, Jessica. And we wrote pretty much over 11 novels worth of writing. Yeah, we're still writing, but maybe a couple of weeks ago, we just passed the 1 million words written in a story. So we kind of got a little carried away. So this series is 5 of those novels. So it's about 45 to 50 issues already written that completes series 1. So it's a somewhat long series. Yeah.
Okay, so what is the Worthy Chaos series actually about, and what should new and returning readers expect in this new issue?
So the story is, for people that know it, it's like Buffy the Vampire Slayer meets Supernatural and Silent Hill in the Resident Evil world. And it's kind of like Romeo and Juliet in hell, but not like a romance kind of thing. But these two characters are soulmates, and they don't remember each other in each life. And in this life, they meet up as teenagers, and they were planning to run away together. And on the night they're planning to run away together, her brother became possessed by a demon and actually killed her parents. And she walked in on them killing her parents, and she called Draven, which is the other character, and told him not to come to the house. And of course, the first thing he did was come to the house. He came in the front door. She jumped out the back window, and he slipped on her blood and called her name. She turned around to go back and got hit by a car and was put in a coma for several months, and he was arrested for her murder. So for 10 years, they were separated, thinking the other one was dead. He trained as an assassin, and she trained as a supernatural hunter to get revenge on her brother for taking away Draven. 10 years later, angels and demons finally found them when they got close together, and they tricked them into being in a town and then merged that town with hell. So pretty much it's them trying to survive through all these supernatural creatures like hellhounds and zombies and zombie mermaids and Anubis and ghosts and everything you could possibly think of. And their fathers, Draven's is a demon and hers is an angel, are after her because she was created from an angelic weapon that holds the power of souls. And if they can get it from her, they can tip the scale in either heaven or hell's favor. My poor 2 characters don't know anything about this. They're just trying to survive against everything their parents throw at them. So issue 6 is pretty much a mini conclusion, because 4, 5, and 6 introduced our vampires, the Clotters. Now they're a little bit more ruthless than regular vampires because they have clotted blood. Their heart beats every 6 hours, which is just enough to keep off rigor mortis. So their blood is thicker and it requires more, which means they have to feed directly from a human. You can't feed from a bag, you can't feed from animals. And because of that, and the fact that the vampires, when they're turned, still have their consciousness, they have to kill a human purposely to survive. If they don't, they start to decompose as a zombie. So when you turn a human, if they won't feed, they decompose. And the species, to survive, decided to turn only the most ruthless people so that their species can keep going. So you've got these serial killers, these sociopaths, anything that they can get their hands on. And not only that, if they bite you or taste your blood, they can track you anywhere you go like a homing beacon. And if you kill one of their kind, the entire nest will track you down and kill you out of revenge. So in 6, they're on their hunt because Seraphina and Draven need to kill those vampires before they come hunt her. So that's what the 6 is, the conclusion of all of that. And issue 7 comes out October 3rd, which would come to the conclusion of all 7 of those. Not conclusion per se, it continues, but it tells you what's going on in the town and why it's merging and why they want her and stuff. So there are a lot of answers. So this is a 7-issue arc just for book 1. And so you've got that. It's nonstop action, but you also have like the character bonding together and as they grow and they trust each other, and you've got that going on for them. But it's and what I want to say, the most important thing is the story is usually when you have co-writers, you guys work on the stories together and all that stuff. For us, we actually only write our own characters because we're role players. So everything you read about Seraphina, her actions, her thoughts, her voice, everything is something I write, and everything that Draven says or does or thinks is what my co-writer writes. So you have 2 completely different personalities that you're reading on the, while you're reading it. So it makes it a little bit more unique and a little bit more different, and it helps to portray the 2 different personalities that you've got going on.
Yeah, I think it helps maintain the personalities too. So it's like having one writer, it kind of muddles up everything because you kind of get confused, especially with all these working parts that you have in Worthy Chaos, just in book 1 itself. So I think having a co-writer who writes this one character and then you write the other character and then you come together in the scene, I think actually helps. Yeah. And so sometimes it doesn't, but I think in this instance, it does actually work. Yeah. But can you just elaborate a little bit more on your creative process on Worthy Chaos as a whole? So it's just a thought in your head, you're role playing, and then now you want to bring it onto the page. So how did that come about to now?
So I had one small story idea about the angelic weapon, and I held on to this story for like 11 years. And I held on to it. And then when I found my co-writer, I said, okay, this is the story I have. It's about, a girl that's been separated from her, her soulmate for 10 years. And she's got this weapon and she doesn't know it's a weapon and blah, blah. So what I do is I sent her a 4,000 word reply. So a chapter. So that's the starter. So what happens is I'll send a chapter and then she will do her character's point of view on that story, on that chapter. So if I write that they go into town and they encounter a ghost and she drags him, behind the fence and they fight and blah, blah, blah. So she will write back Draven's thoughts and what he was, doing during that time. And also my character will talk to him and he'll answer in his, when she writes back. So I won't even know what her character says until I get her reply. So it's kind of like, think about it as somebody writes a chapter, and you know how usually when you read a book, you see that one character's point of view during that chapter. Well, this is my co-writer goes back and writes the entire chapter over again, but in her character's point of view. So you have 2 chapters of the same person. And then as a comic book, I just merge them, so obviously it makes more sense. So it sounds very complicated, but you get used to it. It's something that I've been doing for about 17, almost 18 years now. And I'm dyslexic. So when I first started writing, it was like a one-liner. I would literally write one sentence, Claire rushes at the zombies and what I can't even tell you how hard I don't even understand how one-lining works anymore because it's been so long. But I worked as a one-liner, then I went to para, and then I went to multi-para, and now I could do 6,000 words in one sitting. So I've obviously increased just a little bit. But yeah, it sounds complicated, but it's super fun because she has no idea what I'm writing when I write it. Like we'll talk about ideas, about a general direction I'll go in. And half the time, I honestly don't even know what I'm writing until I sit down. I'm just like, I'm going to sit down, I'm going to write it. And sometimes when I stop and I send it to her, she's like, well, I can't wait to see what happens next. And I was like, me too. Like, I have no idea what's going to happen next. Like 2 or 3 weeks ago, I woke up from a dream and I was like, that would be the perfect ending to our sequel of our spinoff. And I wrote like an 1,000-word reply, for the ending. So we actually have technically 3 series, but this one is Redemption, Worthy Chaos Redemption, which is the 5 books. And then we have a spin-off, which is a what if they got to run away that time, instead of being separated for 10 years, which started out as a joke because I had a dream about them. And then we felt guilty that they were separated for the 10 years because we're like, they really love each other. And we took them apart, took them away and blah, blah, blah. So we decided to separate them, but we wrote that they didn't. So now you have these 2 teenagers on the run with no assassin skills, no supernatural skills, and no idea that anything supernatural exists. And it turned out to be this amazing story of these 2 teenagers, not only bonding, but growing, and learning to fight on their own and all this stuff. And now we have 45 issues of that, finished.
Oh Lord.
Yeah. So we have like 100 issues written for this story. So it's quite long, but I'm hoping to release the spinoff eventually if this does well. But comic books, as you may or may not know, are extremely expensive to make.
Yeah.
So, and I just jumped into this without any knowledge whatsoever. I've only been doing this 7 months at this point, just about 8 months. And I still don't know what I'm doing. Fortunately, I have a large support group with other creative, other indie creators, and they're helping me, to get my story out there, to get the Kickstarter shared. And so far it's been going really well. But unlike most indie creators who do maybe 2 to 3 stories a year, I'm doing 6 to 8. So it's a little bit different. It's a lot more expensive, but it's already written, so it's faster.
Yeah.
I already know how it ends. I already know how it goes. So we and my artist is super fast. So Jonas DaCosta is part of the team, and this is his first paid job. So I don't know if you saw the art you see the art behind me, but he's absolutely phenomenal. And I got super lucky to, have him as an artist, because he's not just a paid artist. He's part of the team. He gets really invested in the story. He went away for 30 days, and like halfway through, he's like, I miss, drawing the story, and I can't wait to get back to it. So he's into it as much as maybe not as much as we are, but we're completely, utterly obsessed. But he's right there with us. And it helps that he does that, but he's super fast. He sends me sketches every day, which is Monday through Friday, which is absolutely phenomenal. So I kind of have to keep up with him. So it's my wallet doesn't like it, but I love it because I always want more. I'm like, give me more pages. I just want more. And these 7 are book 1. So like, I'm super excited to get these done, because then I'm going to put them into a graphic novel and release it in January. So I'm super excited to see it. And we're trying to do a hardcover, which I think would look phenomenal. So it's going to be 222 pages. So wow. It is no joke in the graphic novel department. But yeah, we're super excited about it. And the story has so many twists and turns, and it looks like a normal survival, 2 humans trying to survive, but they're not. There's a lot of, she's an angel descendant, he's a demon descendant, and there's a lot of gears in the works that we don't even know about yet, and we won't know for a while. So the 5 books are a continual story, but they're in different locations. So that's why they're separated in books. So like 1 through 7 is in town, it's town merging with hell. And then at the end of 7, they go into a haunted asylum and they get trapped in there. And now, so book 2 is them trying to get out of this haunted asylum with these ghosts and these zombies and these giant salamanders on the ceiling that are attacking them. And then in book 3, they're in a town completely infested with zombies. It's 10 issues of them trying to fight with 2 other survivors as they try to get out of this town. And then 4 and 5 is they're trapped on like a hell island. And there's a lot going on there. So it's one whole story, but it's all together. So yeah.
Well, while working on issues 1 through 6 of Worthy Chaos, and then you said 7 is coming out later in October. Well, for 1 through 6, did you notice any changes developing from issue to issue? like your writing style or your partner's writing style, or how the series was developing differently than when you first started, so all those years ago?
So actually, yeah, because in the original novel, the fathers weren't present. We knew about them and we knew what they were doing, but we didn't write them in because we knew they were there. But while I'm writing the comic book, I'm like, well, nobody else knows that they're there. And I have no other way to tell people that they're not humans. It's an angel and a demon. So I actually added the fathers in. So they're on the rooftops telling, showing you what's happening and kind of telling you what they're about to do or what they did, and they get to banter back and forth. So I absolutely love them. The other thing was I actually added in Anubis way more. Anubis was originally in issue 2, and he really wasn't in anything else. But not only did I love seeing him on the page, I mean, he's got such immense personality, this, Egyptian god. Everyone loved him. Everyone loved him. I have my plushie Anubis. Is my emotional support plushie. But he became such an important character to the story that now he's in the entire series. Like, he's in every issue. He actually fuels the plot. He now has a hellhound for a pet that he was playing fetch with in issue 4. And it actually changes a little bit of the story because now they're using the hellhound against him. Because the father is actually controlling Anubis with a remote control. So he's not a bad, god, but he's being controlled. And when he gets this hellhound that he feels protective over, it starts to make him fight against the remote, But then they start using the hellhound against him, saying, well, if you don't do what we tell you to, we're just going to kill your hellhound. So it became a part of the story. So the hellhound wasn't even in this series. He was in the spinoff. And I just randomly added him to this one. I was like, I just really like him in there. So yeah, they have been developing a lot more. And I kind of like the route that that's taking. And I love seeing the pages. And I'm so glad I added the characters that I did. I think it made the story 10 times better. And I already thought it was amazing. So I'm biased, but I just get to see that, especially the personality of Anubis when he's playing fetch with us. He didn't mean to, the hellhound brought him a stick and he threw it, and the hellhound brought it back and he threw it again. And he was playing. Now now the hellhound follows him around in pages with a stick in his mouth, waiting to play, fetch, which is just kind of cool to see. But yeah, seeing that kind of personality that I didn't have before, I actually really like it. So yeah, it's growing as it goes, and I think it's only getting better. So I like that. Yeah.
Well, how was it working with your collaborators? I know, your co-writer is Just, right? Just is your co-writer, and then Jonas is the artist for the comics. So how was it working with them, and how did you find them and know that they were the right people to work with?
So that's a good question, because I held on to this idea of this angelic weapon for 11 years, and I wrote with some amazing writers while I was role playing, and they all wanted the story, but I was like, no, I'm holding it, and I didn't even know who I was holding it for. And then the day after I met Jessica, I was like, do you want this role that I've been holding for 11 years? And she's like, I don't take roles. And yes, I do. So I sent her it, and it was like instantaneous obsession. Like, the second she got the starter, she's like, that is the best thing I've ever read. It's probably not, by the way, but she loved it. And she wrote back, and I was like, holy crap, you are, meant to write the story. And it was so funny because she kept calling it my role, for the longest time. And I was like, no, Draven is you. Like, Draven's your personality. He has, you're writing him, he's you. And it took like a while, I would say a couple of months, before she's kind of like, oh, this is my character. I was born to do this. And I just got so lucky that she just embodied the role. Like, she just totally took it over, and it just worked out so amazing. And Jonas, now I love Jonas, and I highly recommend him to anybody, except I don't want to lose him, but I do recommend him to anybody. When he first started, I was so exhausted. I had an issue 1 artist who screwed me over, stole $3,000 from me. I tried to fix it for $2,000. It didn't work out. So I had to redo 1. It took me months to find him, and a lot of money. So by the time I came to the point where I was like exhausted looking for artists, I had posted my story and said, if anyone wants to hand in a free test page, I'll pay you for it if I select it, and then I'll hire you for like, a whole series. So I had 5 people working on it. And he came to me and he's like, are you still accepting, commissions? And I said, well, this is what I'll do. If you want to hand in one now for free, I'll look at it right away. If you want to wait till I look at those, if I don't choose one of them, I'll pay you for a page and then we'll go from there. He's like, nope, I'll hand in a free one. He handed in the free one and it was like, I can't even tell you how perfect it was. Like out of all the months and all the artists, he's the only one that had the character that looked like how I pictured it in my head. I was like, you're hired. So I paid the other ones to go away. And when we first started working on it, we started working on issue 2. And I don't want to make it sound like he's difficult to work with because he's definitely not. But we butt heads because he's never worked on a comic and I've never worked with someone of his skill. So I didn't understand what he was doing. I was like, you're not following the script. You're doing all these panels and blah, blah, blah. And I wasn't realizing what he was trying to do. And I finally realized that I had to back off and make my pages less panels for him so he can do his magic, So I cut my panels from 6 to 7 down to 3 to 4, and it worked like a charm. And since then it's been like smooth sailing. He'll take those 3 to 4 panels and turn it into like 8 to 9 of action and whatever. All the panel work you see is all him. Like he's just phenomenal. And he tells the best story with my simple, explanations. And I got really lucky there. So we actually work amazing. Jessica and I have always worked amazing. We're always on the same page. We always are like, come up with the best ideas. I mean, we're each other's muse, we're just like, oh, we got to do this idea, or we have to absolutely do this idea. And it was just perfect the way it happened. So I'm extremely lucky, which makes me panic all the time because without one of them, I'm like screwed. Like I need them both there at all times. And it's very difficult to do anything without them. Mm-hmm. So I'm very lucky that I have this team, and they better stick around because I'll kill them both if they don't. So lock them in my basement until they agree. But yeah.
Well, outside of working on Worthy Chaos, like you all pretty much have this on lock, but outside of that, how well do you find balance for your life? And how do you typically manage your mental well-being when you become stressed, frustrated, or overwhelmed?
So I mostly become stressed during Kickstarters, because the backer count goes up, backer count goes down, whatever, trying to get the story out there, I think is the most stressful. So ironically, whenever I get stressed, I will pretty much write the story. So the only thing that calms me down is either writing, reading, working on scripts, whatever is story related, it calms me down because I also run my own business. So I have that all the time. And then I have this all the time. So it's all the time. Like it's always doing something either business related or comic book related. So it does get stressful, but the story itself, man, it just completely calms me down. So if I do get stressed, I either read a reply from her, or I read one of the comic books, or I think about a new story, or I write a new story. So as stressful as the comic book is, which I did not see coming, I was like, oh, how hard can it be? I was wrong. It's incredibly hard. But as stressful as it is, it's also the most incredibly satisfying. Like when I get, a comic in my hand, it's just like the most amazing thing to be like, I made this, I'm getting to see my story come to life. And sometimes I'm like, oh, it's a story anyone can do. And then I look at it, I'm like, this is actually really cool. So it goes back and forth. It's an incredibly awesome thing to do. Even though it's incredibly expensive, it's absolutely worth it. And I'm really hoping to do all of it. I've been told by publishers that I'll never get them all made. And I said it's too long and blah, blah, blah. But I think we'll get there. I think we can get a loyal fan base. Everyone that reads it, fortunately, loves it. I have very loyal readers. The only tricky part is that it's obviously expensive, and our campaigns are pretty much every other month, which I know gets incredibly expensive. So that's the only thing I'm worried about, having them so close together. No other indie creator that I know, I'm sure they're out there, but none that I personally know do that every other month. my Kickstarter ends 4 weeks later. I have another one. And the only time I'm taking a break is for the holidays. Issue 7 will end on Halloween, and then I gave everyone the holidays off, so they don't have to put up with me again until January 23rd when book 2 is released, and we start all over again. So yay.
You're still learning. So,
Yeah.
right now it's all, a month apart from each other or every other month, which is fine. But then you'll have that break where everybody can take a breather and then possibly reassess how we're going to do book 2 in the upcoming year. So, you're on the right track right now. This seems to be working. And like I said, that break will allow you time to reassess and work out the kinks before you go back into book 2. So don't be too hard on yourself. You're still learning. You just started 7 months ago.
Yeah, man, it feels like forever. My friend
I know.
called it a year. She was on an interview. She goes, "Oh, she's been doing this for a year," and I was like, "No, it only feels like a year. It's only been 7 months." But yeah, it's getting there. But yeah, it's a learning curve. Definitely a learning curve.
Yeah. Is there anything else you want to touch on about Worthy Chaos that we may have missed as a whole? Maybe the rewards for potential backers or anything like that.
Yes,
or anything?
we have a lot of rewards, a lot of unique things. I have been called the queen of merch. I love merch. Everyone makes fun of me. They're like, "Why do you buy so much merch?" And all I say is that I wanted it, and selling it makes it tax deductible. So I have tons of merch. So I have plushies galore. I have the Anubis plushie. I have, my demon plushies that are add-ons. I have skeleton birds that are from issue 3. I have my plushie merman, which is from issue 2. We have pillows, we have gold-plated Anubis coins, we have stickers, we have handmade clay statues, we have 3D printed statues. We have it all. And I will say we're one of the few campaigns that actually have an issue 1 always for a tier. So if you're new coming in and you just want a taste of it, you can get issue 1 as a PDF or issue 1 as a print, and that's all you have to get. And then we have all the add-ons, we have all the back issues and any variants available always in the back add-ons. So make sure to check all the add-ons. And we have usually 2 variant covers. We don't like to do too many because we want to give it, this collectors out there, I don't want them to go broke trying to get like 50, covers. So we always have 3. We always have a tier that has at least the 3 covers too. But yeah, we have catch-up tiers in both PDFs and print, which seems to be the most popular. Like this time we had like 51 new people for the last campaign, which was awesome. And we're hoping to obviously bring in tons more. But yeah, we have metal covers, we have metal trading cards. So definitely check the add-ons. A lot of people might skip those, but we have awesome stuff back there. We also have, if anyone wants to join our Twitter, we're at worthy_chaos. We have 5.3 thousand followers. We have a Worthy Chaos Facebook group. If anyone wants to join a Facebook group, we have about 650 members in there. We just started a couple weeks ago, and we always will show people pages and covers that we're working on and rewards and everything. And also the best way to find us on Kickstarter, there's links all over the place. But if you just go to Kickstarter and search Worthy Chaos, we're the only thing that pops up. So you get to see past campaigns, the present campaign, and all that stuff. And if you do come in, if you watch this video and there's no campaign there, we're probably in pre-launch. And if we're not, then just wait 24 hours than we usually are. So we're almost always on Kickstarter. And we're really hoping to obviously grow, like everyone else wants to grow. So definitely add us, follow us, and do all that fun stuff. Yeah.
Well, you already mentioned where people can find you online, but are you attending any cons this year as a vendor or maybe as a panelist, or you're just going to peruse and hey, I'm going to be here, let's say hi?
Yeah, I'm going to be at CreepyCon in Knoxville, which might be after this. I think it's right after this. So you're seeing this on the 15th or after. I think it's like the 26th. And then I'm in the Smoky Mountains in, I think this horror show is September 9th. And then I tried to attend any con in Tennessee. I know Tennessee's huge, so I shouldn't probably say that, but any of the middle or East Tennessee, Nashville, Knoxville, all of those I like to go to. And I love to talk to other indie creators. Like I'm hardly at my table. So if you go to my table and I'm not there, I'm at somebody else's table. But I like to attend them. I don't like cons as much as other people do. I kind of go just to talk to people.
Mhm.
I don't like calling people over to my table, even though I'm a loud Italian. But generally I love to talk to other creators and get to know fans, and fans like to come out and see me and all that stuff. So it is fun to go to them, but it's so much more fun to attend them than it is to have a table.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Have you heard of Literary Ink? It's a tattoo convention I think they have it in Chattanooga, Tennessee. But it's supposed to be like a tattoo convention that's based off of literary works. First, it was initially Harry Potter, but then they expanded to just literary works in general. So obviously it's a tattoo convention, but then they have like panelists there, and people have booths to sell their books and whatever other stuff they wanted to sell there. So if you're not really familiar with working a con as far as being a vendor, I would highly recommend you share a booth with somebody. So you can split the cost, it won't be so expensive, and you get your money back quicker than if you had a table by yourself. Or if you just wanted to go and just look, and see what everything was about before you wanted to pay money.
I definitely want to look that up, because I also have a running, not a joke per se, but I don't have any tattoos, but I want one of the logo, but I'm a wuss. So the thing is, if I ever get 500 backers, I'm going to film myself getting the logo tattooed on me for like a campaign thing. And people get to vote on what it says underneath it, because we have like 5 sayings, like the story is life. I'm pretty sure they're going to pick the one that says that I'm a pain in the ass or something, because that's one of the things that they say. I'm pretty sure that one's going to get picked so that it's on me forever. But yeah, the backers are gonna be able to vote on what it's gonna say. So I don't know how long it'll take to get 500 backers, but that is one of the tattoos. So it's gonna be a tattoo of literary art. So I'll have to go to this convention now, because we're actually going to Chattanooga on Sunday. So I'll have to find out when this is. You don't know around what month it is, do you?
Let me
I'll
look
have
at
to Google it
now. Literary Ink convention. It might have already passed, but the next one is in July of next year. So, if you just look it up
Yeah, I'll
and
look it up.
see what's going on, I'm not sure. But yeah, they have it there. And I wanted to go away first, but then COVID happened, and then there's just other things happened where I couldn't go
How
anymore. So,
far are you from Chattanooga?
I mean, I don't know how many states over, but I'm pretty far. Maryland, so I don't know how many states over. That's like what,
I think it's about,
two states down? Because
yeah,
West Virginia, Pennsylvania, West Virginia, I think it's like right underneath.
it's not too far, a
All
couple
it's not
hours.
too
Yeah.
far. Yeah, it's not. It's not too far. Yeah,
Yeah,
but
yeah. I'm
yeah,
excited.
you mentioned Knoxville and Tennessee. I was like, oh, I know that convention in Tennessee. So
Yeah, no, I'm definitely gonna look that up, because I don't even know half the things that they'll just suddenly pop up. Like I didn't even know there was a horror con in September, except for like a month ago. And I look up horror cons all the time. All of a sudden, like, oh, it's a Smoky Mountain Horror Fest or something. I was like, what? Since when? So I did get a table for that. But yeah, no, I want to check that out, because like I said, I'd rather attend them.
mhm. Yeah, it's
So
probably best if you just attend it first, and then if you like the vibe of it, then you
yeah,
can
yeah,
come back next
definitely.
year.
Awesome. Thank you.
Oh, no problem. Well, again, I want to thank one of the creators and writers behind the comic series Worthy Chaos, Corissa Grant, for joining us here today to promote the launch of issue 6. All of Carissa's socials and website will be listed in this episode's details, alongside the Kickstarter link for those who are interested. Again, I'm KS Garner, and you've been listening to the Solo Number Podcast. Thank you.
Thanks.